Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, I actually wanted to talk about one of the most interesting parts of Total Drama World Tour in my eyes. I wanted to look back at a specific episode that caused me some pain. It's an episode that I've talked about here on the channel before, but I wanted to talk about it again, this time going deeper into the actual chain reaction that it had on the game and specific characters. Now, you might ask, why would I do this? Well, to be honest, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of World Tour anymore, and I think you guys can get why. See, if you look into the first 20 or so episodes of the season, I think that the episodes are a bit cliche. The music is good and all, but it's very minor, and honestly, a lot of the storylines just get broken up or they get trashed, and the ones that don't are the most annoying ones in the entire season. And unfortunately for me, I'm gonna have to talk about it the entire video. Why do I do this to myself? Now, in order to actually get to the chain reaction, we must first start at the episode where it all began. And it's an episode that I've talked about on the channel before, the oh so infamous I See London episode. This episode has caused me a lot of pain, and I've already talked about it before, and I'll do it again. The episode itself begins in London, where we see Alejandro get kidnapped by somebody. You see, the entire premise involves the two teams in London, where they must capture Jack the Ripper in order to win. The team who fails to do so must vote someone out. Now, here's what I will say. This episode has a few good moments, and it really starts with Courtney and Gwen, and we see them form a great bond because of them being a nerd dream team with their knowledge on crime and the location of London itself. Now, as already mentioned, Alejandro was not present for this challenge, so we see Noah take over Team Chris is really hot, and this gives us great humor through the entire episode. Now, as we make our way through the episode, more contestants go missing, like Cody, Tyler, and Sierra, and the challenge finally ends when Owen and Noah catch the Ripper. However, we see a brief moment where Courtney and Gwen are seen going into a club, and this sets up an interesting ending, to say the least. Now, at the elimination ceremony, we see Owen and Noah show off who they caught, which is Ezekiel in a Ripper costume for some reason. It's never really explained why they tried to bring back Zeke, but it's kind of funny to me. But things go from good to bad almost in an instant, as we see Gwen and Courtney show off who they caught, which of course is Duncan. And in light of what happened, Chris decides to throw Ezekiel out of the plane, and what makes this funny is nothing happens from this. He still manages to hang on. So Chris throwing Ezekiel out of the plane was merely irrelevant. It did nothing. And to make matters even worse, Duncan is allowed back in the competition, and Chris declares Team Amazon the winners of the challenge because they found Duncan. So what was the point of the challenge? It makes no sense. But anyways, because of this, we see Team Chris is really hot go to the elimination ceremony, and Noah is voted out. And this really sucks, because in this moment, we see Noah warn Owen about Alejandro by saying, "Beware of eels." But, of course, this is total drama, and there's more to the episode. In the final few moments of the episode, we see Gwen in the bathroom talking about Duncan and Courtney and whatever else, and Duncan walks in, and, you know the rest.
Pa! This is so stupid, but I have no idea, and I'm so glad you're here to mock me about it.
Me too.
Ow! Hey.
Now, I figured that's a good leeway into what I actually wanted to talk about in this video, which is the chain reaction from this episode. And there's a few things that I wanted to talk about that in general happened, but those are just the main effects. But then I wanted to get into the individual effects that it had on certain contestants. So, with that being said, let's get into the general effects it had on the game and for the rest of the season. Now, obviously, the few main effects that happen right away is Noah gets eliminated here, and I feel like this just makes the season like 20% less funny. So seeing Noah get eliminated because of a stupid elimination that shouldn't have happened to begin with, I would have preferred if they did a non-elimination, or had the challenge just have been to find Duncan to begin with. But alright, Chris McLean, alright man. So, Noah getting eliminated was obviously a big L from this episode, and even then, it's just the biggest issue some people have with this episode, which I would say it is probably my biggest gripe with the episode directly, but obviously the indirect damage is also there. Speaking of indirect damage, one of the most important things to me is that this episode caused the millions of dollars to be destroyed at the end of the season. Now, you might think I'm a little crazy when I say this, but technically it is. You see, had Chris just left Ezekiel in London, or if he just threw him out the plane a little better, then we wouldn't have had this whole issue to begin with. So to see Ezekiel stay in the competition in a way just makes no sense when they could have gotten him out like 25 times up to this point. I mean, he literally sat cargo the entire season. So it's just stupid. Now, the next 2 points that I wanted to make have direct effects on one competitor, to be exact. This whole episode basically causes Tyler to be really stressed out in the next episode, as he saw Gwen and Duncan kiss, and now has the mental burden to try to keep this secret in. However, once he reveals it in Greece, it was the beginning of Tyler's downfall, as this causes him to be eliminated in the next episode due to him just being heavily injured from Area 51, but also because Alejandro decides to begin working with Duncan so he can keep him in the game. Because Duncan knew going into this that the moment Tyler revealed his secret, that he was kind of cooked. But what Alejandro does is he has these advantages that is also caused by this whole episode. You see, Alejandro picks up on this whole story that Tyler is keeping a secret, and instead of him letting it just play low, Alejandro does everything in his power for Tyler to pay back that favor, and obviously he does. And the moment he does, instead of going after Duncan, he plays buddy-buddy with Duncan, and it honestly works really well, because Alejandro just works so well as a villain here that you kind of have to respect it. It gave him that mental leverage to just play above and beyond everybody else, with the exception of Heather and maybe Sierra, but for the rest of the season, this really bothers Duncan, but Alejandro just kind of goes with it, and the two form a very good alliance that works well for a while. But obviously it comes to a crashing halt when Duncan gets eliminated in this season. The first character we'll talk about is by far the most damaged in my honest opinion, and that is Courtney. Now, following IC London, we see Courtney learn about Gwen and Duncan's kiss, which automatically ends her and Gwen's friendship on the spot. Additionally, Courtney has a mental change as we see her go from being enthusiastic and excited about playing in the competition to just being on a team with Gwen and hating the game entirely. I mean, not only does she begin to sell challenges for a team, but she just becomes an entirely new person. She's basically like going insane throughout this period, and the whole thing is pretty wild. As for Duncan, in her attempts to make him jealous, she tries to get with Tyler, but of course it doesn't go anywhere because Tyler is already into Lindsay and they already go out. Also, a moment ago I mentioned Courtney began to sell challenges for her team. Well, in the Australia episode, we finally see Courtney do what she wanted to do for 2 whole episodes, which was eliminate Gwen. The whole elimination is honestly really annoying and not satisfying at all in my opinion. Following this though, her attempts are solely for jealousy until she becomes suddenly interested in Alejandro, and Alejandro of course, while semi-interested, knows what his plan is. And it is of course to eliminate Courtney, and he manages to do so because of a double elimination. Now, let's jump into All-Stars, where things finally get a chance to be addressed. I mean, it has been a whole season since things have been even picked up on, so hopefully the writers won't mess this up, right? Now, through the entirety of All-Stars, Courtney is never really able to fully fix things with Gwen, and Courtney doesn't even realize her mistake until she finds out why Gwen came back. And the only reason Gwen came back for All-Stars was to make things right with Courtney. And this entire thing leads to the worst episode in the show's history, I'd argue. You see, after Courtney gets her whole plan revealed by Mike/Mal, we see her go into shambles and never truly fix things up. This causes her elimination, and Courtney is never heard from again, flying into outer space. A very odd ending for an interesting character. Courtney went out on the bottom, and honestly, it's still surprising she never won a season, even though she's widely regarded as one of the best competitors in the show's history. But hey, it happens. Overall, Courtney lost her real friend and her boyfriend, but she also used this as an excuse to just be a bad teammate and throw the game for a while. And then in All Stars, she was still delusional and refuses to believe that Gwen actually cared for her. And after everything she tried, she still didn't care. Overall, it's a cliche writing decision, but I get why they did it, but it's whatever. But let's move on to the one who actually took Courtney's boyfriend, even though they were kind of broken up to that point anyway. So, whatever. Moving on to Gwen. Now, following the IC London episode, we see her kiss Duncan, and the first bit of the Grease episode, we see her feel bad about what she did. And when the secret is revealed, this was the moment that Gwen realized she messed up. Now, things go okay in Area 51 as Gwen is able to win the challenge, and we see another moment where she and Duncan kiss. Now, from this point forward, there's this whole stupid plotline where Gwen is considered a villain, a truly evil person because she kissed Duncan, and honestly, this whole thing is just really stupid in my eyes. I like Gwen, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but what makes this so annoying is that Gwen and Duncan had already been getting close to each other in action, and inevitably we knew this was going to happen. So, following this, in Gwen's last episode as a competitor, we see her get help to eliminate Courtney, and things actually do go pretty well, until Cody nearly dies, and he's unable to vote, which leads to the votes being a tie. And ultimately this gets Gwen eliminated due to her allergies. Now, following this, we see Gwen and Duncan kiss one more time, and really there's not anything too special that happens. Besides that though, we have Gwen and Trent have closure, and I guess that's good and all, but I just feel bad for Trent, man. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, he got done so wrong, man. Well, I just feel bad, man. Now, in All Stars, we see Gwen and Courtney still have bad interactions, and Gwen even gets put on the villains team all because she kissed Duncan. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. It's not that serious. Anyways, though, we end up learning that the only reason Gwen came back to the show was to make things right with Courtney, and yet she is still treated like a bad person. It's really odd in my opinion. Even after everything that had previously happened, Gwen still does whatever it takes to earn Courtney's trust, and things eventually start going well, especially after Gwen breaks up with Duncan. But, like I said though, things were going good until they weren't. Because of Courtney's trust issues, she makes a list for the final four, and when Mal reveals it, things go crashing down for Courtney. This causes Gwen to make Courtney trust her vote, and even in the end, it makes Gwen and Courtney's story end on a pretty lackluster ending. In my opinion, it's just a disappointing ending to an otherwise interesting story. So the fact that it never got picked up again just really bothers me because there's so much potential in it. But let's talk about the third and final person truly affected by this episode, and that person being Duncan. And obviously he is the guy who caused the two issues between the two characters, so figured we'd do the middleman last. But when Duncan returned in IC London, he voted Noah out and kissed Gwen, so not the hottest start. Now, when this happens though, we get a pretty interesting episode in the Grease episode, where we see Owen and Noah reform their friendship, and we see Duncan warn Tyler not to tell about him and Gwen's kiss. And this obviously goes south as soon as it happens due to Alejandro taking notice. After the secret is revealed, Duncan gets absolutely destroyed by Cody. I mean, dude, look at this punch. I mean, Cody is no Muhammad Ali, but jeez, dude. There is no denying that Cody literally decked Duncan. Now, I can tell Cody was pissed, but jeez, dude. Anyways, following this, we see Alejandro begin to work with Duncan in order to help him stay in the game. And obviously, since Duncan and Owen are friends, it makes it a 3v1 vote to get Tyler out in the Area 51 episode. Now, as I stated, Owen and Duncan are friends, but Alejandro's influence was really strong on Duncan, mainly because of one thing: Courtney. Alejandro had Courtney on lockdown, and because Duncan is Duncan, he obviously wants to do whatever it takes for acknowledgement from Courtney. And even though he was skeptical, he decides to work with Alejandro in order to get Courtney out. And luckily, his gamble does work. But by this point, it's the final five: Duncan, Sierra, Cody, Heather, and of course, Alejandro. And when Duncan thinks he's in the clear, we see Alejandro betray him, which doesn't surprise anyone. Not even Duncan. So, going into All-Stars, Duncan and Gwen were good, and things seemed uphill until the season began. We see Duncan and Gwen seemingly without the magic they previously had in World Tour, and Duncan is still hurt about Courtney ignoring him. And he tries to hide it, but this is All-Stars, for crying out loud. Nothing good was to come. We see Duncan save Gwen in the Leech Ball Challenge, and this act turns him into a hero suddenly. In fact, he and Courtney end up switching teams. How ironic. And following this, Duncan becomes this nice guy for some reason, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Things finally come crashing down when Duncan tries to make Courtney jealous in the Moon episode, and this is Gwen's breaking point. We see them finally break up, and Duncan goes on to be this nice person, or whatever. Like, he attempts to do bad things, but they somehow are nice acts. I still really don't get this whole plot point though, and it's just really stupid, like the rest of the season. Eventually though, Duncan can't take anymore, and he finally does something that was bad enough for everyone to take him serious again, and that was terrorism. Duncan blows up Chris's cottage, hits a Fortnite dance, and the rest is history. Speaking of history, I See London is gonna go down as Total Drama's most infamous episode, I'd argue. If it's not number 1, it's definitely in that top 5 to top 3 range, and to me, it's an episode that I still don't like. I think it has great moments, but its ending is just so catastrophic. But I still don't think this gives me the right reason to fully hate it, but it's still an episode that I definitely dislike. A few months ago when I made a video talking about my least favorite and favorite episode in each season, I don't think I would put I See London as the worst World Tour episode, and the reason for that is just because I feel like there's other episodes that just weren't that good, and to be honest, this is a solid episode. It's just the ending had such an importantly awkward chain reaction that looking back, it makes it really hard to watch. So I guess I can't say I'm very mad about it. I'm not very happy about the episode, but it was just one of those episodes that had a purpose, and it fulfilled it much more than a lot of episodes in World Tour. So it's just an okay episode. Honestly though, the chain reaction itself, I would give that a 2 out of 10, purely because it was painful and it ruined All-Stars, as if All-Stars wasn't bad already. If you didn't know how bad All-Stars was, you should click the video right here. Now, before we get this video finished, I just wanted to announce that I am doing an upcoming Q&A. It'll be a big video that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I figured there's no better time than to do it on my 1-year anniversary of having my channel. So on June 13th, that video will be uploaded, and I'm giving submissions until June 5th. So any questions on this video or community post or in my Discord, I will read, and the best ones will get their time to be in the video. So if you guys have any questions for me, let me know. I'll answer anything from Total Drama to sports to wrestling, just anything that I like. And even if it's something I'm not very aware about, I'll try to add it into the video just to spice things up. But with that being said, let's dive right into the personal stuff. Now, I want to clear up a few things before I sign out, and let me just go ahead and say, I apologize for the lack of videos. I've been busy finishing up my school year, and I've had health issues, so I've been trying to focus on those two things as they're much more important than my channel. But now that I'm on summer break and I'm feeling as good as can be, I'm going to try to make more videos for you guys. And I also wanted to announce that I have a different direction for the channel. I'm going to keep the Total Drama consistency, but I'm going to add in a variable video for every 2 Total Drama videos that I actually make. So I hope you guys understand that change. So after next Total Drama video, you will get something completely out of the blue that'll be completely random, decided by me. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. But until we get to that point, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys for the love and support. It's been amazing, and we're coming up on 1 year of making videos, man. I didn't think I'd make it this far, and to know that I have 1,600 of you guys who have my back and are here for me, you guys mean the absolute world to me, and I don't know what I would do without you guys. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate all the love and support. I am just grateful for the opportunity that you guys give me, and I'm gonna work hard this summer, and I'm gonna make sure that I get videos out. It is like 3 in the morning when I'm recording this, so I'm pretty much done with things to say. But we are back, man. Just let it be known. I'm gonna get more videos out very soon. I'm gonna work hard, and as long as you guys keep feeding me support, I will keep grinding and making you guys banger after banger. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace. Also, go subscribe to my thumbnail artist. He's awesome. Anyway, see ya.